I'm going to start the recorder. I've gotten really good. Mary, you got to be. I've gotten really good at remembering this.
What about Instagram Live?
Instagram Live is going.
Okay.
Instagram Live is going. We got folks there. And now I'm going into the Remarcus app and into tonight's episode. They shoot Gilmores, don't they? This sounds very interesting. And you all know the drill. We're going to do this on the count of 3. We're all going to hit our play buttons. 1. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Got to jump back to. All right. 1, 2, 3. I was right.
Why are all those people listening to their conversation?
I don't think they have an option. It's Lorelai. That's one of my favorite Taylor lines ever. Trying to picture a tarp big enough for a bridge.
I always assumed it was that like bridge that Rory and Jess had their picnic on. That wouldn't be too big.
Well, yeah, but what material is the bridge made out of that if you don't put a tarp over it, it's gonna get ruined?
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking. Were they using like polystyrene?
What wood?
I don't know. Tarp could possibly cover. Have to have like humongous, right, to cover a bridge. I mean, how big is this bridge?
It might just be a little like I don't know, like a little rail trail bridge or something.
No,
Then
because
you seal
all this for a bridge. Think about it. They raised all this money, so it had to be a good sized bridge, right? I don't know.
It's just like the most Stars Hollow thing ever. Like bridge is falling down, so we'll just do a fundraiser. Hey John, pay attention to the director when it pops up.
Did I miss it? No.
Not yet.
There's an Amy episode. Oh yes, Kenny did this one. Oh, those
I
of
love
you
Kenny Ortega.
you know that he was my favorite director to work with.
And you know,
I mean, I love all
Kenny,
the directors, but I just love working with Kenny.
you know, if he did it and there's dancing involved, it's gonna be good. I love this. That was so sweet, though, Emily trying, even if it was condescending.
She has a good point. Today is Liza's birthday, by the way.
Oh wow.
That handshake is so oddly formal, but then it just turned into like a total rom-com moment. I love it. Okay, that was cute. So cute.
I love Layton's sweater.
Oh, that sweater is so great. technically a band episode. She mentioned the band.
We're not reaching at all in that.
It's not reaching.
Make note, make note.
I love that.
I like that one too.
It makes such a cute squad. It's actually so different from how we ended last episode. I'm surprised that wasn't her partner from the beginning.
Wait, it's not her partner yet.
How is this Dean's first marathon when Lorelai mentioned she was in it last year? Well, they only started dating last year when she was a sophomore. Now she's. Oh, wait, you're right. I was just doing the math. That's weird. He could have been away on a trip or something.
No way that Paris will say yes.
Oh, just wait.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's the middle of the night.
It starts at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning and ends at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning is what the sign behind them said.
So it's probably like 5:30 in that time, but it's probably filmed.
during the night.
Yeah, it was filmed at night. Yeah.
I love that outfit. It's so random that they need a physical for this fundraiser.
Of course, all I could think of from that was that they were all getting. I just was thinking COVID for some reason.
My brain always goes there. I always wonder if people are quiet about going into stores without masks on shows. I love that the Kims are still involved, even if though they don't want to be involved and disapprove. I do see the Elizabeth Taylor comparison now that she's all dolled up on this episode. It's there.
Sean was in the credits, right?
Oh, yes. Yep. One of Kirk's better episodes.
Awesome.
Do you remember she said he was the past winner? Yeah, did you miss the part where she said wins every year?
Oh, right. No, I did miss that, yeah.
My dad had that same exact thermos.
We have one, and my dad has one as well.
I have one too.
I like Andrew. He's all dressed up in his military garb, kind of. That's cute. The costuming in this episode is one of my favorite parts about the episode.
By far.
Yeah, it's well done. The hair, styling, and everything.
Like I said, it's like the perfect episode that if you wanted to be an extra, this was the one.
Look at
By the
her
way,
go.
I wouldn't really classify some of these as extras. I mean, some of these folks would, but those folks there at the beginning that were doing that like Lindy Hop stuff, I mean, those are dancers. Those are professional dancers.
Would you know if that
Meaning that
music
they're
would
not
be
hired.
live?
They're not hired as background talent. They're hired under like, you know, performer contracts.
Even so, couldn't they have just got like you there to dance?
Do you know, John, if that music would have been live or would it just be pretend?
That looks like it's studio. That doesn't sound live at all.
It's almost never live anytime you see a dance scene in any television show.
Yeah, for sure. It's just too complicated in terms of people speaking and, you know, so this is all silent. Like there's no music playing in the actual, you know, the shooting of it.
I was just thinking about how your band would be playing live on the side, so I thought maybe.
Well, those are always, if you notice, we never have dialogue during those. We always just sort of open up our scenes. Even the shoes that everybody are wearing probably have some sort of felt on the bottom so that you're hearing all these footsteps. Those were all put in. Those are all not the footsteps of the people. That everybody is like trying not to make any sound.
Or Foley, like, or whatever you call it. The people who like do sound effects.
Yeah, Foley, yeah.
Did everybody notice the back of Kirk's shirt had Dosie's Market embroidered on it? Like, that's
Yeah.
his sponsor?
Yeah, I saw that.
And so we
Panic at the Dance Marathon.
John, now that you mentioned that about the music and the shoes, it makes way more sense why no one is dancing at the same speed.
Totally. Exactly. That's
It's awkward.
yeah, and those folks are background talent. They're not dancers. Oh my goodness.
So torture.
Oh my God.
To like keep them awake or get more people to drop off or what? I don't understand this runaround thing.
It's super funny.
I know.
Yeah, they say that the last 5 couples get tossed out, so I think it's a way to thin the herd.
It's also typical Taylor torture.
Definite Taylor torture.
Careful with your mic and the audio. This is so funny. Kirk. Oh my goodness. This seems awful.
I wouldn't want to lie down. I feel like I wouldn't get back up.
Oh, I would have already vomited.
I can't believe she's wearing heels. I'm tired just watching them.
We had a dance marathon in our town, not to this extent though. I just love Mrs. Kim.
Ouch.
If it started at 6 and it's been several hours, why is it still dark outside? I think it was 8 o'clock at night. Okay.
Oof. Yeah, not enjoying Jess in this episode.
Four and four is crazy. I had 3 and 2, or 2 and 3, and that was enough. I had 2 and 2.5, and it's insanity.
This episode is fun, but it's making me very anxious.
There's a reason for that.
It's been 23 hours. How are they still standing?
I would have dropped a long time ago.
Miss Patty bides her time and nope.
I don't think Lorelai's gonna win. Did I miss that? Is that like a thing, a rule? You can go to the bathroom, but somebody else has to take the place?
You can take a break, but the other person has to keep staying on the dance floor and keep moving.
You
So
can only
she just
use it
brings
once.
Ian to ensure that.
Got it. The coffee cups, the paper coffee cups, it gets me every time because those are the craft services cups. I just remembered a spoiler. I just remembered something that I am spoiled on
Oh,
about Luke. Yeah. Anybody who's been to FanFest probably knows why I'm spoiled. Oh, there's Dave.
Aww.
Good cover, Dave, good cover.
Oh, he's gonna charm Mrs. Kim.
Private Bible study and it's like 5 in the morning. How did Mrs. Kim buy that?
Some people have Bible studies that early.
Oh, this is brilliant.
He could sell ice to an Eskimo. Oh boy.
I very much wonder if Dean planned to stay there that whole time, or has just been there this whole day because Jess was there too.
Because Jess was there.
Gosh, I feel so bad for Dean.
Yeah, this is painful.
He's so obsessed.
Kind of did to himself though.
I'm just biting my tongue so hard right now.
Oh,
Ouch.
nice. I don't know what else to say except
Yeah. Asshole.
No.
He's standing up for himself.
no, not at all. I don't see an asshole.
I'll give my reason afterwards.
But where's Lorelai? How did she not hear all of that screaming?
That's what I'm wondering.
Also, the
They were
rules,
fixing that
like, what,
shoot in much longer than 10 minutes.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say the rules of this seem a little lax. Like she's been gone
Like-
for a while.
I thought it was like 10 minutes, but they were gone.
It's Stars
for
Hollow.
much-
Wait for it. Wait.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. No.
Oh, man. This is nuts.
I think I like this better than Film by Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
Not
This
over
is
yet.
better. Aw, I'm happy for Kirk. Look at him.
Yep.
He needs this more than Lorelai.
He has very little in his life.
He has no key to his own house. I wonder how much that weighed. Probably nothing. It looks very light the way he's running around. Or Kirk is unusually strong.
Oh my goodness.
And there
That
we
was
go.
a lot of fun. That episode was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right, before we head into discussion, let's get this couch open.
There's definitely so much to speak about. I am going to bed. Enjoy discussing it.
And of course, like,
Bye, Amy.
thanks for joining us, Amy.
Yes, thank
It was
you.
a lot of fun. All right,
I'm not barely awake.
We got a lot of fun.
I only woke up because the air horn. I was like, oh wait, what? Bye, Amy. No.
We have a very, 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 very big couch
Bye.
here.
It was good to hear from you.
All right.
So,
wait,
like,
Veronica's here.
Right at the beginning of the, like, as Wolf and Susie were walking in, my TV crapped out on me and, like, or Netflixed it. I don't know what happened. But, so, like, I was watching it all, like, a minute behind y'all, and it was very interesting to hear your thoughts before they asked.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
April, can you
wow.
mute? You have a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have any.
That might have been somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, just a reminder, guys, when you come up on the couch, your mic is automatically open until you press the mute button. So if you're new, or if as soon as you accept, it's open. So you need to close it right away.
And even if it's silent, there's still like a lot of like background noise. Like my neighbors are doing things upstairs, and it's very evident to hear. So.
Okay, let's dive in. I want to actually just dive just directly to the meat of the episode. I want to go straight to Dean and Jess. Tasha, I know you have lots that you want to talk about, but we're gonna start with some other folks.
Hey, I wasn't even gonna ask if I started. So.
All right.
Quit
I mean, I have lots to say, but I'm also going to hold off for a sec. Who wants to start? Who wants to chat about that? Or I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we don't want to talk about it. I do.
Can we talk about some of the timing, just because it's funny? They have Friday night dinner, and then the next day, Rory goes to school, ? Where Jamie shows up, and then the marathon is the next day. And then, like you said, all of the timing at the dance is all off. But I think it's the funny, charming thing about this episode that none of the timing makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place. It didn't
I
make
think
any
they did
sense.
that for a reason.
Could it have just like been the
Yeah,
next-
her 10-minute break was an awfully long 10-minute break for her shoe.
For sure.
And the fact
Veronica
that-
slashing?
Veronica?
Oh, I was going to say, even though I'm team Jess, I'm with you, John, on this one. I think Dean was so in the right because Rory has treated him badly for months.
Yeah, this was, I mean, it's funny, I just in the last episode that we did today, I was talking about my favorite characters, and I said that my favorite Gilmore is currently Rory. And this episode really bumped her back a notch for me. I think maybe Emily has like caught up to her again. Yeah, that was hard to watch. I mean, that was so hard to watch. And I know that I kind of give her a bit of a pass because she's deliriously tired at that point. But I mean, poor Dean. You know, should he have done it like the way that he did? Maybe not. I mean, that was pretty harsh in front of everybody. But man, just sitting there, just standing there, just listening to that, you know, I mean, it was really hard to watch. And I guess I can't really fault him for like just snapping.
I think he was at breaking point, and I know she was really tired, but I think that's why she forgot to maybe hide her feelings for Jess.
Right.
And yeah, Dean had just had enough.
I guess I forgot that the episode we watched this morning, it was funny because I knew tonight's episode was tonight, because I was like, definitely put that on my schedule, like definitely needed to be here for that. But this morning was kind of a fluke, and when I watched it, I was like, oh, wow, this is like the episode right before things like end, when she definitely is like you said, it really made you really like Rory. She's like, you know, Leah, let's, like, they kind of have this very like confrontation, and it almost seems like her feelings are kind of fading, but then all of a sudden she's like, no, not all of a sudden, obviously, like they're all there, it's all subtext, but it's just very stark to go from that episode to this one without anything kind of in between, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, somebody else I feel really bad for. I know we've been talking about her a lot in the past few episodes, but I felt really bad for Shane there at the end. when he's like, all right, I gotta go do something. I was like, oh man, like this episode just getting worse and worse.
Exactly.
I mean,
so
worse and worse, just painful, more and more painful for me. I mean, the episode is just stellar. It's so fun. Tasha.
Thank you. Okay.
Tasha, you want to speak?
Yes. So, just jumping off what you just said, John, I think like as much as Shane's not really like on my radar, and it's not like I hate her or anything like that, it's just like she's not super like on my list. And I think like Shane, like with what Dean said, like, and Shane, who should be listening to this because it's so damn obvious, I think like maybe, and I could be reaching here, but maybe Shane knew what was going on, and maybe she kind of like, even though she really likes Jess and things like that, that maybe she knew in the back of her head that was like, okay, like I know that this is not going to last, that something that like he likes her and I'm just here for the ride. And I think like maybe she knew it was coming, maybe not when, but I think after Dean blew up on Rory that she kind of had an inkling of like, okay, maybe this is not going to last anymore. And I mean, like, at least like Jeff like went to go break up with her and didn't just like not talk to her. He could have done that and been a douchebag, but he's at least like breaking up with her. Now with Dean, and the reason why I called him an a-hole is kind of what was already mentioned, because like he did not, yes, he hit his breaking point, and I understand him being upset the way he is, and everyone's delirious. It's been 24 hours they've been up, so you kind of, it's kind of being like sleep drunk, like you don't know what you're saying until after it happens. And Dean has every right to be upset the way he is. He has every right to want to break up with her and say what he's been feeling for the last like 4 months or so, however long Jess has been in town for. And but I will say the way that he did it is kind of douchey, because yes, he snapped because he's tired as well, but he didn't really need to like be that rude or break up in front of everyone. He could have like said, he could have like done it afterwards, or he could have said like, after Jeff said what he said, like, okay, we need to talk, let's go outside type thing.
Nikki,
And,
did you want? Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, but that's
Sorry,
just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I
I just
think
wanted to make sure that we get some other folks speaking, but
Oh,
all
yeah, definitely.
all really great insight, Tasha.
I mean, I see Jess's behavior as worse here because the whole reason he went to the dance marathon was to be in Rory's face and to taunt her and to get her going. I mean, Jess doesn't care about the town and town events. He had no interest in the dance marathon. It was purely just to taunt her and to taunt Dean.
Fully.
I agree.
Totally. Yes.
Agree as well. I also feel like, I mean, okay, so when I first initially watched this episode way back many months ago, I was a little bit like upset with Dean with the way that he approached it. But the more that it sat with me and the more that I would rewatch the show, I realized like I feel bad, right? You know, like this is probably one of his like more serious relationships, right? You know, he admits to this girl that he loves her, and she kind of becomes sort of his world in a way, right? And so like to hear her say like these things like, oh my God, like why is Jeff here? Like this is a dance marathon. This is where people dance. Like why is he making up with Shane? And it's so heartbreaking in this situation. Like I feel like Dean was completely justified in this situation. Why are we not commenting on as to why Rory is like talking about Jess, like someone who isn't even her man, in public like that? You know, it's just, it makes me feel for the Dean character because the treatment that he got was sad, you know, to uplift another guy, to make him more appealing. It's a distasteful way to end that character for me, you know? So I understand the frustration and it just, you pity him, you know? It's sad.
Oh my
Sorry.
gosh, are you, please tell me that Dean is not ended. The character is not ended, I hope. Oh my goodness.
No.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
We'll foil you on that
I was
one,
a little worried about that. I saw Mary flashing, and then I see Rachel flashing. I don't know if there was anybody else that was flashing. Amanda flashing down at the bottom. Why don't we go Mary, then Rachel, then Amanda?
I was just gonna say, like, I can't blame Dean. Dean is also a teenager, just like them. Dean has been up for 24 hours doing absolutely nothing but supporting Rory. And all Rory wants to talk about is the person who came to the straw. So I can see where his anger flare came from. And we already know that Dean is the type of person who, when he's emotional, he gets loud. He's done that before. It's not necessarily anger or like jerkiness. It's just this is how he reacts. And Rory knows that about him because she knew when she broke her arm, he would react that way. So she wrote a letter for him. And she kept going, you know, you still have 3 more, oh my gods, or whatever, are you serious going? So nothing in his reaction is out of turn for Dean in any way. As for Shane, I think Shane knows this is not a serious relationship. And I don't understand what the hell she's doing accepting to hang out with Jess for 24 hours sitting on the bleachers. Like, how is that a relationship? So something's odd going there. Either she's a pushover or she's just got nothing better to do. So that's my.
Can I respond really quick? Because I think that I'm on the whole train that believes that Shane really likes him way more than he likes her. I wasn't there when you know, early on and in earlier episodes, and now I feel pretty convinced. And I think that the reason you just actually said why, and that is like why would she be there if she didn't like him? Like, why would she be sticking around all night long, 24 hours with that guy? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me other than I really like him. And that alone, and like coupled with him saying like, but coupled with the fact that he came there just to antagonize and probably in the back of his head potentially break them up, and then at the end of it, I'm going to go break up with this girl who's been here all night long with me, and my plan to do what I've done here. It just, the whole thing is really so distasteful. Sorry, I just had to jump in there. Rachel.
Exactly. That's part of what I was going to say. I feel like with Dean, he called it when he said that since Jess has come into town, she's been interested. And for months, her heart hasn't been in their relationship. And I think until he broke up with her, she wasn't going to do anything about breaking up with Dean. I think she wanted some sign from Jess that he was interested and willing to date her. And I think showing up to this dance marathon, although it was to antagonize and cause a scene, I think he did what he needed to do to be with her, or wanted to do to be with her, to show her like, hey, I'm interested in you, in his way, and to piss Dean off, which ended up working. So I think he got exactly what he wanted. She got what she's been waiting for, confirmation that he likes her back. And then the episode ends. I just said, like, my heart breaks for Dean at the dance marathon, and then at the bridge too, because she tells Jess, and it's just like automatically they're going to start dating, and they've just freshly broken up with these people, and to just go from one relationship to the next. And then when he said something about he has to go do something about Shane, I thought, well, wait, are they even dating? So then that made me think, okay, then I guess their thing was more than just hookups, because why would he need to go do something about her if they're just having fun?
I was going to say that too, because he says to Luke that they're basically just using each other, like that all they're doing is making out. They don't even know each other's last names. So why would you even need to break up with her? So it was clearly more than what he was letting on.
Amanda?
Yeah, I agree with Nikki that Jess was only there to rile Rory up, and that was evident in when he first entered and crossed across the dance floor. He could have taken any other route to get to the bleachers, but he chose the route that would take him right beside where Rory and Lorelai were dancing, and then of course sat in her line of sight. And when Dean does end up breaking up with Rory, yeah, it's probably not the best timing for him to have done it like in front of everybody, but she wasn't exactly being quiet anytime she was criticizing Jess and criticizing, like when she went to get the sandwiches, she was very loud in her communication with Jess, which it was passionate and you could tell that there was something there. And then when they went back to the dance floor, she kept complaining about him very loudly. That was probably embarrassing to Dean, just the way Dean embarrassed her by breaking up with her in front of everybody. So I kind of like get it. And then at the end, when Jess says that Dean's a jerk for breaking up with her in front of everybody like that, like I can't help but think, well, didn't you kind of want that? Like you were trying to make that happen all night. You were trying to rile her up, trying to rile Dean up. Like you kind of had a hand in that. You can't just call him a jerk without realizing that you were kind of a jerk as well.
Yeah, it's so manipulative. It felt so manipulative, like, because it just felt like that's all he was doing all night long was to try and break them up. And then when he does, he's like, what a jerk. That guy's such a jerk. I mean, it was just, I don't know. Oof. Sorry, Tasha. I know this is probably you're not enjoying hearing this, but this was a tough one for me on Jess. We've got T was flashing. I know Regina, you're also
T and Anna was too.
And
yeah, go after T. Go ahead, T.
Oh, I was just thinking that it was just so interesting how like we perceive the manipulation with Jess
you know, and Rory and Dean to be a negative manipulation, but then we were kind of cheering on the manipulation that we were seeing that was happening to Mrs. Kim when
Ooh, that's good.
That's
That-
true.
Man, that is
Let's
sharp.
not
Dee.
talk down about Dave now here.
No, but that is sharp. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's an interesting perspective.
I love that. I love that. What
I don't
you
think
should
that's
do-
manipulation. That's just charm.
But I think motivation is important there because
That was absolutely manipulation.
no, but the motivation of manipulating Mrs. Kim is not to annoy or bother or, you know, get into Mrs. Kim. It's about getting something behind her back, but it's about their own experiences. Whereas Jess is manipulating to hurt someone. Like he knows he's trying to hurt someone or annoy someone. He's either trying to hurt Dean by breaking them up, or he's there to annoy Rory.
Good point. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess that is true. In one of the manipulative forms, you've got somebody who is going to get hurt in that situation. And in the other one, it's really designed to, well, yeah. I mean, I guess the only difference is that Mrs. Kim isn't getting hurt. I guess is the main difference. But it's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I'm just like, it's just hard to see Dean get hurt like that and to see how it played out. You know, I mean, obviously, I mean, it felt like Jess was really like just a better player in the game of who can get Rory. Like he just like, it felt like that's what that was. And it felt like Dean was like, I don't want to play this game. You know, like this is not about that for me. I'm in love with you. You're not, I'm in love with you. You're not in love with me. Like then done. We're done, you know? Whereas like with Jess, it just felt like just moving pieces on a chessboard and now I got it. I did it. Whereas, I don't know, with Dave and Mrs. Kim, there was something about that because, gosh, I mean, I don't know. I guess because like I want to keep saying because you know it ends with you know this sort of love, like it's all in the name of love. But then I guess if you're a Team Jess fan, you'd be like, well, that was all in the name.
Killing
of
me.
love. All right, Tasha, go.
Well, no, I was just saying it's killing me. Someone else can talk. I'll talk after.
Oh, I was gonna bring up the fact. So like I said, like the first time around, I thought this was a really, like when I had watched this episode, I thought this was a really unsavory way to break up with someone. But the more that I watched the show and I kept rewatching this particular episode, it really dawned on me that like, you know, like he was justified, right? And so I'm very active on the Gilmore Girls subreddit, right? And so I found this really interesting post that kind of put into words what I was feeling about it. And so I wanted to read it because it's just really short and really quick. And so this person said, I don't think seasons 1 through 3 Dean was this horrible, abusive boyfriend like so many people say. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that Rory was an awful girlfriend to Dean and even a bit controlling in her own way. She expected Dean to essentially orbit around her to conform to her desires at all times. How often did they do things that Dean preferred? Not often. She would go watch him play softball once a week, maybe. The rest was whatever Rory wanted to do or was going to do anyway, and Dean just went along with it. It was always Dean who went over to Rory's house and never the other way around. They hung out with Rory's friend, never with Dean's friend. If Dean wanted to be with Rory, he had to acquiesce to all these conditions. With that kind of relationship dynamic established by Rory, is it any wonder he became obsessive? Plus, he too was a child in love for the very first time.
Dang.
Yeah,
Dang.
I agree. Okay,
not-
Kendra wanted to speak, and then after her, I want to.
So that's what I
Kendra?
want to put out there. Sorry.
That was
Okay,
great.
thanks
That
for
was
sharing.
That was really good. Thank you for sharing. Kendra?
Yeah, let me qualify this statement that I'm about to make with, I do not have a team. I like and dislike all the boyfriends for different reasons, and I feel like they were in Rory's life for a season, and they served a purpose, and there was a reason she was with all of them at the time she was with them. So I always say I'm Team Rory because in the end, she's really what matters. It's not the boy she's with, but in this episode, I never viewed it like just his mission was to go and break them up, because to me, when Dean does blow up and break up with Rory, Jess looks truly like utterly shocked, just shook by what he just witnessed. And I don't think he really thought that is what was going to go down.
I mean, I think that that's one way to interpret his reaction. You know, if you believe that he was manipulating, then you might view that as an insincere, like an insincere reaction there at the end, which is sort of where I'm at. I just felt like he knew that he was antagonizing to the degree that it could cause the breakup, and that is what he wants. And so when it happens, why should he be surprised?
Oh, now I want to speak.
Okay, Tasha, go for it.
So I've been hearing all of this and haven't spoken for a couple of reasons. One, because it's frustrating the hell out of me. Two, it's a little insulting to a few different points, and I'll explain why. Not that, like, y'all can have your opinion, that's totally justified. However, the way, and there's a reason why, like, I can't say, like, that I can't say, like, you guys, like, the way that when, oh, sorry, all these thoughts are coming in my head at once. So the reason why everyone's saying that Jess went to the dance marathon is just to piss off Dean, antagonize Rory, and make things even more difficult. I kind of have to, like, plead the fifth, because and you'll find out literally in a couple episodes why he went, and that's why I can't comment on that. And I'll go back to Dean. So little touch of my own personal life. I have been broken up with, not for the same reason, but in the same way. And I think there's always a time and a place, and granted, you can't always, sometimes the right time isn't the right time and place isn't able to be met. But honestly, like I said before, Dean could have taken Rory once Jess said that and taken her aside and be like, look, like, these are the reasons why I'm breaking up with you. This is why I'm pissed off and I'm done. There's no reason why, regardless of why you're breaking up with someone and why you're breaking and like all that, there's no reason why to act like that. And I think if we continue to justify Dean's actions, that kind of makes everything that, like, he's done a good thing. Because in the past, like, he's yelled at her in front of Paris. He's gotten very possessive over a stupid little bracelet. He monopolizes, like, he makes his whole world about Rory and doesn't really have his own world. And to touch on what someone said about how, like, they never do anything that Dean wants, or, like, they never see her going over to Dean's house. Like, how do we know that? Because we don't, like, see that. And yes, I don't know if they do, because we don't see it either, but they could go over to Dean's house and, like, have dinner or things like that. And I feel like with Jess, like, his face, Kendra pointed it out, his face is, like, devastated, because, like, yes, he loves this girl and everything, or likes her, but his intention probably wasn't thinking, like, oh, I'm going there to break these people up. His face is completely genuine, and I don't think if he wasn't there for any other reason, his face would have been like game point match, or would have had like of a like, see, I knew I was gonna, like, get her or whatever. I don't know, that's my whole point. And it bothers me that people don't really see that, like, other people have feelings and things like that.
Can I just point out that they dated for 3 months and she didn't know that he had a sister or his sister's name until they broke up?
Yes, Mary, I agree. I thought that too. It's very, very weird.
Diane, I see you flashing there, and Anna, did you get a chance to speak? Why don't we do Diana and then Anna?
Okay, that rhymes. I think that, you know, Dean was completely in the right, and I don't have a single problem with how this all went down, because Rory has been humiliating him in public for months, just by, you know, all of the sideways glances at Jess, all of, like, you know, I mean, Dean, every single word that he said was 100% true. And I think that, yeah, like in most cases, it's more hospitable or less rude to, you know, take that into a private area and have that conversation. But, you know, Rory was having it out on the dance floor about Jess, and she yelled at Shane in the store, and she, you know, she's been humiliating Dean, all over town for months. And so I feel like she really deserved it. And I think that, you know, I have a ton of respect for Dean. I feel like, you know, when I saw this, it was like a formative moment for me as a young adult. I was like, oh, when someone's treating you like crap, you're supposed to tell them, hey, you're treating me like crap and I'm done. And I really, really think that was such a good thing for people to see. And I don't know, I think she deserved every single word of that. And I also don't love that Jess's whole demeanor changes over, like, in seconds when he sees her at the dock or on the, you know, by the water, and is like, oh, you know, everything's fine. Like, he's, you know, he just completely changes. It's just not believable. It's like she should run so far in the other direction.
Anna?
I just wanted to say that out of the four of these characters that we've been discussing, I'm team Shane. I really believe that she liked Jeff, and I think you can tell by the look on her face when he has his arm around her, and then Dean and Rory walk away, and Jeff just takes his arm off, and he said, I'm going to get a soda. I think you can tell by her face how really, I think I think things are starting to connect. I think the pieces are dropping, and she's got it figured out at that point. And I think we also forget that they're teenagers and they're all in love and hormones are raging. And I'm not defending Dean, but I think he was just at the point where he'd had enough. And I think in those kinds of situations, I know I do it, you forget who else is around you, and you're just focusing on what's happening between either the two of you or the three of you, right? So I don't think he meant to do that. I don't think he meant to break up. I just think once he started talking, that was it. It was all going to come out. And I really don't think he thought about where they were and that there were other people listening.
Yeah, I think that I don't know about any of you, but one of the things that this show definitely does for me, and especially all of this stuff, is it kind of puts me back into a high schooler's brain. Like, I feel like I become a little bit of a high schooler, and so I do react. You know, we kind of step back from it afterwards and talk like, you know, as adults, like, or I talk like as an adult, looking at them, oh, they're just children, so like we have to give them a pat on this. But actually in the moment, I actually think that I am suddenly a high school kid. So I do feel for Dean in that moment as a high school kid would. I'm like, dude, yeah, man, like, dude, stand up for yourself. And so I think that there's something very fun about that part of the show. Personally. Sarah.
Flashing.
Okay, so one thing I think that's really interesting about this show, and I think I really can only say this about this show because it's a show that I've watched more than probably any other. is that I think that your perspective, kind of like what you're saying, John, like it changes throughout your life. Your perspective on it really changes as you're rewatching it. And I even think rewatching this, all of you, has almost changed my perspective on it, because you're getting to see different people's point of view. And I think so often it's not so much like stuck in our own opinions, because I mean, I was team Jess watching the show, and looking back, I have a hard time telling it whether or not I was really team Jess or team Milo Ventimiglia, because it's a very thin line for me. But
I see that. Well, I was team Jess for a very long time without watching the show, just because I was like, I really like Milo.
Yeah, and yeah, it's really interesting. But I think also a lot of us, like Team Jess fans, this episode is obviously, it's pivotal. And I think sometimes, at least in my brain, I skip past the part of like what's happening that during this whole, breakup, and whether or not it was good or bad or whatever, and just kind of skip ahead to the like anticipation of, oh my gosh, we're gonna actually get this storyline, and we're like excited to like finally get to dive into this other storyline that we were, had been anticipating. But thinking about the end, or what this was like really for Dean, or from Shane's part, I honestly never gave Shane like a second thought at all before listening to all of you guys. So I think it's just very interesting, and I just wanted to say that I appreciate this rewatch, and I'm excited to kind of see how my opinions or kind of viewpoints might, change or shift as, we continue through these seasons, for sure.
Tasha, I feel bad if you are really that frustrated about all this. I do want to remind everyone, again, like, I love all these characters, and I think that's probably the same for everybody. Like, we love these characters. We're talking about them, I think, from a sort of an abstract perspective that's a little meta. Ultimately, they all make up this show that we love, and for that reason, they're all kind of perfect in their own way.
So I think like the reason why I'm like very frustrated and haven't really spoken as much as like people may have thought I would have, also because I want to give other people a chance to speak, because I am a chatterbox, but I think like it's coming from a very different perspective than I even thought, because I honestly thought like my reaction really hasn't changed too much since I first watched this, or over the years that I have watched this. But I think now that I'm older and I've been around the block a few times with like relationships and getting broken up with and things like that, my perspective and why I'm a little bit more frustrated now is more from a personal standpoint, not necessarily a show standpoint, because it kind of triggers, because like it bothers me, and this is just a personal matter, so no one takes offense to this, hopefully, and I apologize if you do. We see a lot of people in TV shows kind of sympathize with people who are kind of manipulative, and yes, Jess is very manipulative. I'm not saying that anything that he's done is right, but I feel like Dean is just as manipulative, because we've seen it in the first two seasons where he kind of like guilts her into making her feel bad for her own actions, or for wanting to do things, like when she wanted to go to Harvard, and kind of saying that like, I have to get my ish together, and he flies off the handle because he doesn't get to hang out with her when he spends basically a lot of his time with her, that he can't just like chill for a day or two. Or like when he yells at her in front of Paris, or kind of like freaks out, like I said, over a little bracelet, or just like, I don't know. And I think like that's extremely manipulative as well. And as much as I feel for Dean in a way of like seeing his girl fall in love with, or just fall for someone else, that's sad, and I've seen that happen. But we can't just like all just agree that Dean is completely justified in what he said, because like I've said in previous episodes, he could have done this a long time ago. He could have broken up with her right after There's the Rub, or earlier than that seen it, but he is so in love with her that he just didn't want to lose her. So he kind of did this to himself. I'm sorry, but like he could have done it way sooner and relieved that tension and avoided this whole problem. But that's just me. So it's
By
a personal
that
standpoint why I'm
logic-
frustrated.
By that logic, by saying that he did it to himself, you could also kind of argue and say that Rory kind of did this to herself because she also could have broken up with him at any
Oh yeah,
point in time.
definitely. Rory's just as much his fault here too.
So
I also think that we have talked a lot about Dean's manipulation. Like, you know, I think that I and I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned this here in one of our rooms, but I definitely mentioned it on Facebook in the Facebook group. That, I mean, just giving her a car, I just think is I think that there's something, you know, as sweet as that gesture seemed at the time, you know, there's something about giving somebody a gift that big that just comes with a real heavy weight. Like, you know,
Like he branded her or something.
yeah, I mean, it's really hard to, like, how do you break up with somebody who's done that? Like, you know, there's just and so there's no question. And when he's doing that kind of stuff, I think that we all agree, and I certainly agree that he's being manipulative. You know, and like I said, or like others have talked about here, and they're all kids, so they're all doing things. You know, they're all making mistakes and doing things that young people do, all in the name of love. But I think just talking about this particular episode, it's just hard for me to it's hard. Like I just give Dean the biggest pass here out of everybody. That's just me personally. But Regina, you wanted to speak, and then I saw Mary also flashing as well.
Oh, no, I just wanted to interject that whole point that, like, Rory could have also broken up with Dean as well. Like, she was stringing that poor boy along, you know?
Oh, right. I actually think I saw Diana. It was Diana that was flashing. I knew it was, like, just somewhere in that direction. Diana, and then
I saw Diana and Vernon flash, so they can go.
Yeah, and Veronica
and
too.
Ernan. Sorry, I think that, yeah, you're down below, so I didn't actually see you. That's kind of one of the challenges of having this many people on the stage, that I have to keep sort of scrolling to make sure that I'm not missing somebody. But Diana, Ernan, Mary.
I'm gonna be really quick because I've spoken and the other two haven't. But I just wanted to say I don't subscribe to a team famously. The only team I subscribe to is Team B on the Remarcus app. But you know, I really like Jeff a lot. Like, overall series, I really, really love him as a character. And so, you know, what this conversation is bringing out is that, you know, the writers on this show are so good because we are not seeing these characters all the time as, like, overall, like, their whole life on the show. We're kind of breaking down their every move the way that we would, like, a regular person or someone that you know or you're friends with or a family member, you know, where some days they're in the right and other days they're in the wrong. And, you know, in this particular instance, you know, my personal feeling is that Dean is in the right, Jess is in the wrong and has been in the wrong. And, you know, and Rory's really been in the wrong. But, like, that's not true for the whole series. That's not true all the time. Just the way, you know, it isn't true for most people in your life. You know, everyone's got their day, you know?
Totally. I also to speak to what you said, Tasha, about you know, kind of relating to characters and how it's hard sometimes to hear, you know, negative things about a character that maybe you sort of relate to, because then it kind of gets in your head. Like, I'll just say, like, I get that 100%. I mean, I had the other night, I talked about how, you know, it's hard for me to hear people bashing Christopher because I see parts of myself in that character, and so then that kind of gets in my head. So that's totally understandable. But again, I actually, to Diana's point, I think that that's what makes this show so special after 15 years, that we're all still here talking about these characters.
I say
Mary,
damn it all the time, where it's like, damn that rating.
Yeah. Mary, and then Ernan.
Diana took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to point out that, you know, we did criticize Gene when he was a jerk, and we're allowed to also criticize Jess and Rory right now because they are being absolute jerks to Dean. There was something else, but I forgot. So go ahead, Ernan. Thanks. Veronica was flashing before me, so she can go before me.
Oh, go ahead, Ernan. I'll speak after you.
Oh, thank you. So I guess first off, this episode gives me massive anxiety. So I watch it maybe every third go around. But to what we're talking about, Dean, and him not being the perfect boyfriend, and I don't think anybody brought this up, but he also broke up with her because she couldn't tell him that she loved him, and that's crazy. Like, that's big. That's pretty, I don't think that's great. And the other thought that I had was in Jess's change after they broke up, and then when he showed up on the bridge. And I could be thinking way too much into this, but if he wasn't totally expecting the breakup, my thought was, what if he realized, oh no, like, I actually have to do something now? Like, I actually have to, like, put effort. I have to, like, put myself out there. And I can see where that would be, like, maybe that's where his shock was. Like, oh no, I didn't actually expect this. And him actually have to, be a good person and make decisions. But that was all.
To be a boyfriend.
Yep.
That's interesting. Veronica.
Hi. So first off, Tasha, thank you for sharing from your personal life. And I don't think we're exactly saying, Dean was good to break up with Rory in front of everyone. I don't think that we are supporting him doing that. I think it's more just that it's understandable, considering that was his breaking point, considering how he had been treated for months beforehand.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't want people to think that they have to like bitter me. I just like, I don't know.
But you said that you're insulted, so this is why this confusion is happening. Like, I get that you're Team Jess and you're passionate about the show, but your personal feelings are separate. Like, this is what we're all here to talk about, everybody's different perspectives, so that we can all get something different out of it. It's not personal. Yeah, true. And I can't remember who said that, they didn't think about Shane last time, but it only hit me last rewatch. And I think that is why Gilmore Girls is so amazing, because these characters are so relatable in their many different ways that I think, and we've been watching for 20 years now, that our perspectives do change. And I love hearing everyone else's perspectives as well. It's so interesting. I really felt for Shane. And John, when you said Rory's not really your favorite, like this puts her down in this episode, I thought Rory was so mean when she said, what is it with girls like Shane? I know they have a mirror. Don't they see what they look like? And, oh yeah, it concerns all womankind. As if, Shane just by existing is dragging all womankind down. And when I watched it as a teen, I was just wrapped up in the excitement of Jess, and I didn't give any thought to Shane, and it just hit me. My last rewatch, I'm like, wow, that's really mean of Rory. And I mean, even in the previous episode, or the hair dye one, where she's like, well, probably to you, how ice is made is fascinating. It's really mean of Rory.
I think that's Rory's insecurity coming out, and she is threatened by Shane. I mean, Rory's super smart and she's confident in that way, but when it comes to boys, she's a rookie and she wants what Shane has, so she is super mean to her.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think it's the parts of Rory. It's those other parts of Rory that I think had me so enamored by the character. I've been so enamored by the character over the course of the last season up until around now. But yeah, all of that stuff in regards to Shane and love, like it's really unsavory. And I think you put it into really good terms here. She is a rookie. She's a total rookie at this, and she's not particularly good at it. And yeah, she probably is jealous of Shane.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, everybody, I'm actually gonna jump off here. I've made everybody, as you can see, I'm sure you all sort of can sense as I'm making everybody moderators that that I'm about to wrap up. We are going to be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We have 2 episodes tomorrow. We have an 8 a.m. and we have an 8:45 a.m. episode. Then we also have another one at 7 p.m. The way that I mentioned this earlier, if you weren't here, the way that I'm going to do it tomorrow morning is, which is not the way I did it last week in our double feature. We're going to have folks come up onto the couch for the 8 a.m. and they'll be there on the couch for the 8 a.m. And then after that episode's over, in the little lull between the two, or we're kind of getting our episodes ready, I'm going to actually drop everybody back down to the beanbags. And then I'm going to open the couch again. And if you were on the couch the first time, you can totally feel free to try and vie for a spot on the couch the second time. I'm not going to do any sort of like, oh, if you were on the first time, I'm favoring you. I'm going to literally exactly the same way, just go down the list. So if you happen to be in those first 14, you'll be back up again. But I do think that it's fair to give everyone a shot at it twice to hop up onto the couch. Yeah, they're going to be really, they're really, well, I don't know, and I don't know what the episodes are, but
You're in for a treat.
But the second episode is called Korean Thanksgiving. I know I'm not in that episode because that title does not look familiar to me at all, and I know all of my titles because of all of the residual checks that I've gotten. I've seen those titles a bazillion times. That one I don't know about, but since it says it's Korean Thanksgiving, I'm guessing that it's something that extends this Lane and Adam storyline, which I'm extremely excited to get into. I do consider this to be band adjacent storyline, so I kind of consider it to be a band storyline somewhat. I hope that you'll at least join us for that episode. And thank you all for joining me again tonight. It was really fun. And this was a great discussion and an awesome episode.
John, just before you leave real quick, I'm just curious what you thought about the whole four babies in 4 years.
I just thought, well, that's not going to apply to. I thought that's not going to apply to me and my wife. That was just, that's the only thing that I thought. That was the only thing that I thought.
Don't forget.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. This was great. Have a great night. Please feel free to stick around and continue chatting. And at this point, at least one person who hasn't seen the show is leaving. So you could probably feel free to start talking about episodes to come and not worrying too much about spoiling. Awesome. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Sean.
Bye.
Bye, John.
Bye.